Boys and girls, Quad City sports fans of all ages, Town Square Media is proud to present to you the best Quad City sports talk radio show in the world. With the face who runs the place, T-Roy, the OG on the marquee, Jaybird, and the cat who runs the chat with the stats, Statman Surge. We are Don't Hassle Us, We're Local. We're not a Quad City sports talk radio show. We're not the Quad City sports talk radio show. We are your Quad City sports talk radio show. Welcome to the conversation, Quad Cities. But first, the Dawn.
Jay needs to turn up the heat because I'm freezing again.
Yeah, are you?
Yeah, it's terrible. No, not in here.
Oh, okay.
I'm just saying outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I know you love that. Whenever I say it, you get it.
Yeah, it's definitely freezing. It's not fun, I can tell you that much. I was surprised that everybody was going to be in school today.
You get a drink, D. Murray?
That being said...
Yeah, a lot of late starts. Your kids didn't late start today, did they?
No. Davenport didn't, Bettendorf didn't, but I understand the other ones. But that
when
being
you're out
said,
in the country, it's a little bit different.
I was out driving starting at about 6:45 this morning, and I have to tell you this. The roads weren't nearly as bad as it was on social media already at that moment in the morning.
Right.
And by the time I had made it here by 9 o'clock at that point I was in northeast Davenport, and when I made it to the studio here around 9, which is in central Davenport, major roads were fine. So if you're on social media at 6:30 in the morning criticizing the local news, saying that the streets are fine, being like they're not fine, give it a rest. they're working as hard as they can.
Well, I'm sure if you're driving a smart car.
Yeah,
I mean, if you're out there in your Yugo or whatever, what's the little thing looks like a pregnant roller skate? I don't know. The It car? I don't know what it is.
I don't know.
The Eon or Skyon or something. You shouldn't be driving those around anyway in the winter. It's a good way to get killed.
I found it odd, and honestly, it's even worse that I'm on looking at social media that early in the morning, so that's my fault. So I'll take the blame for that. But.
I mean, if you live here, chances are you should have front-wheel drive no matter what, right?
Yes.
I mean, that would just be a bare minimum.
You'd think. Before we start, yes, we took yesterday off. No school for the kids. President's Day, all that stuff. It's freezing out, and did we miss out on some things? Maybe.
I celebrated with my buddy, what's he call himself? The 3-year letterman.
Yeah, who's that?
Him and I celebrated our greatest living president and the founder of the automobile, Gerald Ford.
Gerald Ford?
Yeah.
You and
He's a joke.
Yeah, okay. But who'd you celebrate that with?
3-year letterman.
Okay.
Follow him on Twitter. He's pretty funny.
Oh, okay, got it. Yeah,
it's a parody account.
Yeah.
But yeah, he put that out. He goes, to the greatest living president and the inventor of the automobile, Gerald Ford.
Gotcha.
Pretty funny stuff.
Yeah, the inventor of the automobile.
Yeah.
So, just what we missed over the weekend, real quick, for the NASCAR fans out there, it was a long
Blackjack
race.
McDowell won, right?
Yeah.
Is this the guy, or is this the guy that owns McDowell's from Coming to America?
I don't know. Weather delayed the start, accidents, whatever else, and this is the 4th time in 6 years that the last lap of the NASCAR there was like an accident do it. I don't know.
So what's Bubba Wallace's real name? Because it's listed as D. Wallace Jr.
I should know it because I saw it last week when I saw like a promo, a banner on the internet.
He had
for
a
it.
DNF, so I imagine he was part of that accident.
Well, he had gotten in trouble. He went to the back of the thing because his car was flagged illegal. I think like his head crew chief guy was suspended for the race too. Again, this is things I heard. I didn't pay too much attention to, so I apologize, NASCAR fans. I'm sure you can tell me more out there. That being said, things that happened over the weekend also. I wrote a nice little quick thing on ESPN1170am.com. If you like it, let me know. I have been flirting with doing a weekend wrap-up. Tried to do it first thing in the morning on Monday. I obviously didn't get it done until about 10:45 today, but it's one of those things.
Because you went through the favorites, the 10 favorites last week to win that race, by the way.
Yeah.
And do you realize of the 10 favorites, only 2 of them finished in the top 5?
Man, that sport is not easy.
That's Elliott and Hamlin. The rest of them, McDowell was first, Elliott was second, some Dillon guy was third.
That's the guy that Easer A's gave us, Austin Dillon.
Okay. And then our boy Matt, Kevin Harvick, finished fourth, and then Hamlin finished fifth.
Oh, man, I was actually going to bet head-to-head Dillon against somebody, and I didn't. So, all right, well, like I said, go to ESPN1170am.com and read some of that. We're going to touch upon some of the stuff that I wrote upon. Most importantly, if you're watching on Facebook Live right now, we appreciate it. If you're listening on ESPN 1170 AM or on the on your app, ESPN 1170 AM, we appreciate that as well. I'll let you know right away. You can see it on Facebook, but I'm telling you, I'm wearing my Sanctioned Girls Wrestling shirt, and I'll tell you the story behind this. Yep, go on.
Ella made it?
Ella made it to state.
Anybody else that we've had on the show make it?
Well, no.
None of the other.
Marcus Basson made it. Remember when we had Marcus and Travis?
What about the girls from Assumption?
No, she didn't make it.
She didn't make it?
I don't think she didn't even wrestle varsity. She didn't wrestle varsity.
Okay.
So Ella's been wrestling varsity all year. I believe she has a 15-3 record. Marcus from Assumption made it at 120. I'm sorry if I'm off on that. Travis Hodges made that as well from Davenport West.
Jace Luna made it.
Jace Luna made it as a freshman. He's at 120 or 126.
It's all his ability from his mother.
And he's ranked, but I don't know. I'd have to look at it. I looked at his bracket. And you know what? At 12:30, we're going to have Rob Hill on. He can tell us more, but I looked at his bracket to see if he was seeded. This is not something that they did. Last year was the first year they seeded the tournament, or maybe it was the year before. Last year's kind of a blur.
I saw something from Koss about that. He said that he's all for the seeding, but he noticed a lot of regional rematches.
There are a few. Like there's from the Bettendorf district, there is a rematch from the finals. I know that. I don't know what weight off the top of my head, but I know for a fact there's one.
So that'll end up, one of those guys will end up having to
Winner's
wrestle
bracket,
back.
yeah,
do a wrestle back. Okay.
So where it used to be, they made sure they're on opposite sides of the bracket.
Right.
But what happens is the first 8 get seeded, the other 8 get just randomly thrown in there. So it's better than how it used to be. I'm sorry. It really is. So you can pick and choose however you want. All right, so Ella Schmidt made it. She became the third girl to make the Iowa High School Athletic Association and right after that, Jasmine Lufke out of Tumwa, I want to say, she became the fourth girl to make it. So they're both on there, and they're both in 3A, and luckily enough, they're both on opposite sides of the bracket.
Oh, nice.
Now, if one of them wins and one loses, they can cross bracket in other ways, but right now it's kind of looking like it, The goal here now is
Ella
for
have
Ella
a chance to make the podium, you think?
She has a chance.
Okay.
And the route to her getting on the podium is key on her winning her first round match. Okay. So, and let me explain this to you, because once you make it to the winner side, you usually cross bracket to the loser, so that you don't, if you win first round, you know what I'm saying, you don't have to see the guy that you beat again until like maybe third, fifth place match. So if you win first round and you lose, you cross bracket. If you look at Ella, if she happens to lose first round, her cross bracket, barring any type of upsets in the first round, she would have to face 2 wrestlers that currently right now are undefeated. So the hill's going to be much higher, but she has an opponent that is good, but one that's beatable. So if she wins first round, then she cross brackets over and maybe loses second. Not saying she will, but you have to anticipate all problems and keep this in mind, folks. I'm not saying she's going to lose. I'm a bracket nerd, so I look at every aspect of it. If she keeps winning, if she loses here, could the possible opponents be? So obviously Ella's been on the show. Her father's a friend of the show, a friend of mine. And so I overdid it looking at every aspect to the point where, like, I texted him on Sunday to be like, Ella's got a good draw, this and that. And then I'm like, I'm pretty sure Matt knows how the tournament works. And I'm the one telling him, like, everything's good. Maybe I'll just leave him alone today, type of thing.
Yeah.
So, but congratulations, sir. Also, if you look at the site, on Wednesday night when you had the sub-state duels, there was a team. So how sub-state works is 3 teams go to it, 2 wrestle, and then they wrestle the higher seed. And the winner of that goes on to state duels, which will be this Wednesday. Ella warmed up, and you, again, go to ESPN1170am.com. Ella's mother, Heather, made a post, and I shared it on there. I have her permission. I reached out to her and said, can I share it on my thing? Yeah. So she reached out. She wrote on Facebook that Ella trains just as hard as any other boy and with her teammates, and she prepares for her match. And the 106-pounder for the other team who had wrestled previously, they forfeited. It happens. There's certain reasons. Either there's a confidence thing for them because the coach feels like if the kid loses, he's going to, face any type of loss to a girl, which isn't right in this day and age. Or there's been times before where it comes down to religious reasons. For a matter of fact, the girl who made it to state, if it's 2011 or 2015, the last girl to make it, she had a wrestler in the first round. And because of his religious reasons whatsoever, I don't know if it's to put your hands on a female in a physical way whatsoever, he chose to forfeit in the first round. So these things happen. So Matt just wrote on the Harrington's Pub Facebook comment thread, 2011 was when it was Megan Black, and I believe the other wrestler was Lembeck from Cedar Rapids Linmar. So, and that's when it was. So, the key here now is we want her to get on the podium. And the other thing is she's just a junior. I mean, the future's bright. And obviously, you remember 2 years ago when we had her on here, and we were just floored. And at that point, she was 15, maybe 14, and we were just like, she's more poised and mature than we are.
Yeah.
So,
a lot of people are.
Yeah. So, yeah, a lot of people are. So, and then I have to promote this as well. So, the people at Brand 2306, which is in Spruce Hills, Cumberland Square in Bettendorf, they made shirts, and it's Sanctioned Girls Wrestling, and they're sending them out, and, people bought them, and I stopped in to pick up my shirt. I bought one for my daughter, and I stopped yesterday and talked to the people there. I said, how many did you sell? And they said, over 300. And which is great. They did it within a day.
Right.
And they're selling them all over. They said as far as like schools from Waukee, wrestlers from Waukee will be wearing them up at the barn. I say the barn, sorry, the well,
right.
The bank, if you will, supporting Sanctioning Girls Wrestling. And this is not a hill that I've chosen to die upon. I've always taken the stance of like, it's going to happen, folks. Like, just take your time, let it go through. It's going to happen. But I'm still going to support it. I will tell you where I get a little bit differently of like pushing a little bit more towards like, hey, this has to happen right now. The idea that the University of Iowa is flirting with their next female sports department.
Well, and you saw they brought back swimming and diving.
Yes.
Female swimming and diving.
Yes.
So interesting.
If the University of Iowa is flirting with their next female sport department, could be wrestling. And I'm pretty sure, from what I understand, it's at the top of their list. Iowa High School Girls Athletic Union better move very fast on this, because it's not going to look good if the University of Iowa, in a state of Iowa, where toddlers learn to walk, basically their forearms on their knees because they're in good stance position, it's time for them to do it. So. And Glancy says supposedly the whole Waukee team is wearing them at state. So,
oh, nice.
But congratulations to Ella. Congratulations to all the wrestlers who made it this weekend. Like I said, at 12:30, we're going to talk to Rob Hill from QCA Wrestle, and Rob's been a good friend and to mine and a friend of the show, and someone that we tried to collaborate most this year, but things got in the way, whatever else. But I think going up at state, we're going to work on some things together, because I'm going to go up Thursday and Friday. I'm not going to go up for duels on Wednesday. So for sure, Thursday and Friday, I'll be up there. This guy's going to have his media badge walking around all over the place. Just living it up there. Yeah, just living it up there.
You're going to look like Garth and Wayne.
Yep.
With your backstage badge.
Yeah. So there was in Bettendorf, North Scott won the districts. Bettendorf qualified the most out of here. Let's see, West qualified 2. Central qualified 1 or 2. Assumption got 5 through. DeWitt got 2 through. Comanche had a good day. The Comanche and Assumption were in a tough district. They had West Delaware in their district. PV had a very good district. Well, that was a turning point from what their coach said in the article by Matt Koss, which is the link is in the ESPN 1170 AM as well. I know this year has been kind of off. Usually I'm the champion of the local sports around, local high school wrestling around here, but QCA Wrestle has done such a good job. I don't have to take those messages, emails about how bad my local rankings are, or how dumb I am about high school wrestling, because they've decided to take that for me.
There you go.
Yeah.
You took too many lumps already anyway, right?
I know, yeah. Also, they talk about on Friday, the River Bandits have announced a 10-year deal with the Kansas City Royals. That's a huge deal. I'm sure that's a lot off of GM Joe Kluge, and the owner Heller, worrying about, if in 3 years, 5 years, whatever else. 10 years is a good thing, and it's one that they hope to continue. Heller's quote in the Quad City Times was, "This is a relationship I hope to continue through my son." Basically, he's saying his son's definitely going to at some point take over. And Major League Baseball announced the divisions in minor league baseball as well. Also, for Major League Baseball, they said to be a minor league team, facility updates have to be there, which Heller said they're going to start working on as soon as possible.
Well, that being said, too, little role reversal here.
Okay.
We're going to have a little trivia for Jay, if you will. Maybe not trivia, but Jay's very much an odds guy. So from our friend Jessica Kleinschmidt, she retweeted it from Fangraphs. Jay is going to go through and guess Major League Baseball teams' percentages in the postseason, chances of winning it all.
To win it all.
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm going to do it. We're going to do it by division.
Okay.
So we'll see how you compare to Fangraphs, Jay.
Okay. I look forward to doing that. We'll do that. Can we do that after Rob's interview and before Emily?
Yeah, I figure we can just do it.
Yeah, Emily Van Buskirk's going to be on at 1:30. She's going to talk to us about NFL football players in the draft. More importantly, the quarterbacks coming up, and then we're going to figure out a time that works out for us to when we're going to have the mock draft showdown between the two. But going back to the minor league baseball, they said that there's realignment. They moved 40 teams from 2022 from minor league baseball. So I'm sorry, 43 teams were lost. 2 were AA, while the 41 were single A. Which is kind of one that's kind of important to be a 3A is the St. Paul Saints. It was in Rochester, New York. Now St. Paul, which used to be an independent, will now be the AAA. And I'm not doing this because of favoritism. It's a big deal that now, I think they now have gone from one that was all the way in New York and Rochester, New York, to now it's miles away. They're AAA, so they can call up people. The Saints are known for all that other stuff. They're independent type of travel, but. Yeah, there's going to be higher pay now for the players. So that, and then we've got some time. We've got, you know what? Let's talk about it briefly, and then we'll talk to Rob soon. It's something we can talk about and we can come back to. All right? Okay. We talked briefly on Thursday. We talked Thursday was kind of more the breaking news. We talked briefly on Friday.
With AC.
And I can tell you more about AC, too. But the resignation of Coach Doyle as a strength and director of strength performance at the University of Iowa happened 36 hours after he was announced being hired.
You mean at Jacksonville?
Jacksonville, sorry, yeah. He was the director of sports performance for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Urban Meyer came out, gave his reasons for vetting him, everything else, and then about 36 hours later, it was announced. I don't know. The washed-up walk-ons did a good job with this. It's not an easy topic to take. I was talking to someone earlier about this, and I said, no matter what I say here, if I take the side of, if I don't take the side of cancel culture or popular media, then we don't know what we're talking about because one, we didn't play for him, and we're white and we have white privilege. So. And I get that. I get that's where we're at. But the resignation of Coach Doyle, it kind of leads. I believe it was a forced resignation. That's my own opinion.
Right.
And I don't think. And so they just kind of like, oh, we didn't see this coming. I'll give you a story today. Rarely do I listen to ESPN in the morning. Okay, when I'm leaving here, I do. I'm a company man. I actually listen to Dwyer Michaels in the morning if I have the radio on, if I'm not listening to a podcast. Again, I'm a company man. But I was listening this morning, they had Paul Feinbaum on. And Feinbaum just ripped his hiring, a new one. And then he ripped Urban Meyer a new one, saying Urban thinks he can do whatever he wants. This isn't how it goes. Then he goes on to, Paul Feinbaum does, to just downplay and rip his own job. College coverage media. So what he goes and says about this hiring is that it was, it was too quick of a hiring. They didn't do their due diligence, checking them out. Trust me, they did. He said that Urban Meyer thinks he's above all this and he's in for a rude awakening, and that the difference here is that Urban Meyer isn't in the college culture anymore, and that the college media tends to inflate the programs and do puff pieces. They don't do any real journalism.
Sounds like CNN with our current president and Newsweek.
But he
hey,
says
whatever.
the NFL, they're going to get this hard-hitting journalism, and that
it is.
And that you're going to have to answer the hard questions, whereas before, Urban's been basically sheltered the entire time. And the whole time, I'm like,
when have you
seen
very many hard-hitting journalist questions towards anybody in the NFL?
I don't know.
I mean, if it is, they do it towards the commissioner. Like, you don't see
the NFL.
You don't see a lot of people going at Jerry Jones in a odd way, and he makes a ton of bonehead moves when it comes to being the GM. But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like the local beat guys that are following the teams, they want to get the inside track. It's still kind of the same crap, don't you think?
Yes.
I mean, there's very few people that go at anybody.
Do you know what Feinbaum is?
He's
a college football media guy who now he's the SEC.
He gives mouth hugs to Nick Saban.
Yeah.
That's what he does.
Yeah. So it was just really strange that he did that.
If you need help on what mouth hugs are, I'll tell you after the year.
Yeah. Izere says, okay, we'll start here. Izere says on the Harrington's Pub Facebook comment thread, NFL should have been fine with hiring Doyle. Most players have personal trainers. Doyle had little to no impact on the team. It's very true. He's the director of sports performance, meaning he's got people underneath him. They don't turn around. Okay, so let's just say Tyler Kluver on the Wash-Up Walk-Ons. What he pointed out was like, and this has been pointed out by Kakert, all right, and other people. He's not going in there and yelling at him to do another squat or to get another rep on the bench. He's not doing that. He's making sure that they're at their peak performance. They don't work out the way the University of Iowa guys work out. It is a cancel culture response, and they're saying it's just too soon. And actually, and then some people said falling upwards. That's what Tyler Kluver used. He's falling upwards, where not really. Like he was like KF's guy, and now he just becomes just a guy on the staff. He's not talking about what's going on or giving reports to Urban. He's just making sure people are responsible for things. And on top of it, they're not, like I said, they're not in the weight room all together and seeing who's, you're not going to see videos of them all yelling like they had for Tristan Wirfs about getting another squat down.
Right.
And breaking records.
Well, no, he was doing
clean.
Clean and jerk. Yeah.
So I don't know when the answer is when he can get a job or whatever else, but I mean, he gets his 3-year salary, and now if they just would, here's my opinion on this. If they would have announced this hiring the week of the NFL draft, fart noise. I'm dead serious. But because there's nothing going on, the Super Bowl's over, they announced the hiring, we've got nothing to do, ESPN has nothing to do, we're going to sit there and we're going to talk about it. Speaking of talking about it, and I know we need to go to, you know what, we'll come back to it. We got to go to a break.
All right.
And then when we come back, we're going to call Rob.
Locals Love Us is your guide to the best. You don't need to use your social media sites anymore. You have Locals Love Us guides all over the Quad Cities. They have an easy-to-navigate table of contents to help you find what you're looking for. And if you can't find one, just go to localsloveus.com. You click on Quad Cities and browse your favorites. It's easy to use, and Chopper even ranks the most popular places for you. So like I said, you need to check them out. That's Locals Love Us, your guide to the best.
I've been earning and burning, snapping necks and cashing.
You like that? You like that?
Give me a hell yeah! I said give me a hell yeah!
This is WQAD's Matt Randazzo, and you're listening to Don't Hassle Us, We're Local.
Play your game with the first bet risk-free, up to $500, only at Elite Sportsbook. Just sign up for a new Elite Sportsbook account and make your first bet online. If it is graded as a loss, we will match it with a free bet up to $500. Visit EliteSportsbook.com for a list of casino locations and sign up today. You will always be in the game with Elite Sportsbook. For a limited time only. Must be 21. Visit EliteSportsbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling a problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
I'm Kyle Montgomery with NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network. While Carson Wentz's future remains in flux, Jalen Hurts is preparing as if he's the starter in Philly. The second-year QB plans to hold a throwing session with the Eagles receivers in his native Texas, per NBC Sports. Colts also have a question mark at QB, and Indy's All-Pro linebacker Darius Leonard has a simple request for his next signal caller, telling Sirius XM NFL Radio, quote, "If you're going to come in and put the team first and help us win ball games, come on down to the Colts." And some tragic news to report, as former Chargers and Buccaneers Pro Bowl receiver Vincent Jackson passed away at 38 years old. Jackson was known for his charity work on behalf of military families through his Jackson in Action 83 Foundation, and was mourned by the Chargers, who said in a statement, quote, "Vincent was a fan favorite not only for his Pro Bowl play on the field, but for the impact he made on the community off of it. We simply cannot believe he's gone." This has been NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network.
Maybe you've heard about MediShare and you know what it is. It's the affordable alternative to health insurance, but you've wondered, can I really save a significant amount of money on my monthly healthcare bills? And the answer is an emphatic yes, you can. You could save a lot of money, whether it's just for you or for an entire family. MediShare has an option for you. In fact, the typical family saves $500 a month switching to MediShare. And it really is the gold standard when it comes to healthcare sharing. You get free telehealth services, you get a huge network of doctors, you get great customer support, and you get the sense of security that comes from being a part of 400,000 people who share not just each other's medical bills, but purpose too. MediShare is a community of Christians who pull together and pray for each other, which is very refreshing right now. If you want more info, it's so simple. You can get a price within 2 minutes. Call 844-91-BIBLE. That's 844-91-BIBLE. 844-91-BIBLE.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin.
Trevor Lawrence should be the first overall pick in the NFL draft. Take it or shake it.
Shake it!
Shake it!
And the reason I
Okay.
say shake it is because we got to still do due diligence, man. We can't just assume that somebody's the number one overall pick. If I had to take a pick right now, I'd probably take Justin Fields. I like Justin Fields a lot.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin. Mornings on the Quad City Sports Leader, ESPN 1170.
We just expanded our lot at Weber Auto Group. What's that mean for you? Now's the time to buy. Bigger selection, better deal, lower prices. Plus the Weber warranty. And every car we sell gets our 52-point inspection. So call us, visit our website, or better yet, come see us in our new showroom in Silvis. Weber Auto Group, your 5-star dealer.
The Max Kellerman Show.
Like, who was that? Greeny, who said the time to say about personal pride was weeks ago? I mean, I understand what he's saying. He's not wrong. It's fine, but I don't think it would have made a difference. Keyshawn saying they started Foles and it's no. I disagree. The issue is one thing with Chicago. They have no offensive line, period. That's the whole problem. No offensive line. They have a thin receiving core, it's true, but no offensive line. If I had to design a football team, and I have like 10 spots where I can put all my resources, right? Where am I going to put all my resources? Like, what 10 spots do I want covered out of a roster of 50, right? I want a stud quarterback, of course, everyone does. My next 5 spots will be stud offensive linemen.
The Max Kellerman Show. Weekdays at 2 on the Quad City Sports Leader, ESPN 1170. Open our app to listen live, win stuff, and to sign up for breaking news alerts. Never miss a thing on the Quad City Sports Leader, ESPN 1170.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Don't Hassle So Local, AM 1170. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, before we went to break, we were talking about the Chris Doyle resignation down in Jacksonville. And we will, after we get done with the phone call, we'll probably take another break and we'll come back to that. Because we just want to play a little bit of the reaction of the hiring and the reaction of the resignation from our talking head friends in the morning shows on ESPN, and I say that tongue in cheek about Friends or whatever else, because rarely do we agree with their take. Now, the reason I keep thinking about this is it regional bias? Do I have bias because of the University of Iowa football program? Would I look at it differently or anything like that? But there's things we'll talk about. And we'll talk about what we talked to AC about and off the air, because I don't think AC would care at all to share what we talked about. It wasn't like we were just off the air. It wasn't like, hey, between you and me type of thing, you, me, and the fence post. But all right, we're going to give Rob Hill a call from QCA Wrestle. We're going to talk a little bit about the local people that are local young student athletes that are in the wrestling tournament this weekend.
Hello.
Hey, Rob.
Hey, Jay, how's it going?
It's going well. Yeah, you're on ESPN 1170, Don't Hassle for Local. It's me and T-Roy in the Hassle Castle right now. I want to first thank you for taking the phone call today. I know you're busy and you have meetings, and you're also getting ready for the state wrestling tournament coming up, so I do appreciate it.
Absolutely. I'm happy to join. Best week of the year, probably, I think, right now. So
it really is. But I mean, obviously, this some of the restrictions and everything else, and the freezing cold temperatures kind of makes it not the most fun to be traveling, but it is a good time. And anyone who hasn't been to the state wrestling tournament, I encourage you to go, because the atmosphere is electric. Doesn't matter if it's in the barn, doesn't matter if it's in the well. It's always a good time. Rob, first things first, tell people about QCA Wrestle.
Sure. So QCA Wrestle, our big thing is we're local site, local guys, trying to just help promote our local wrestlers and wrestling, and just contribute to helping grow the sport. So we've got a ton of good clubs and good programs and great wrestlers around here, and we just want to really help get them a little more exposure, I guess, is the real purpose behind QCA Wrestle. We started out with a podcast. We're still going to continue doing a podcast as well. Throughout this season, we kind of eased off that a little bit because we got so busy with actual, wrestling coverage. Mm-hmm. But we toss articles up online all the time, and we streamed quite a few local events, and we're going to keep going. We're going to keep helping grow the sport. That's our plan, anyway.
That's perfect. So the website is QCAWrestle.com?
Yes, sir. Yep, QCAWrestle.com, and then QCA Wrestle on all the social media stuff. You can find us, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and all of our recent streams have been on YouTube. Just the QCA Wrestle YouTube channel.
Okay. So how far did you guys spread this weekend as far as coverage?
So this past weekend, right now, and I'll say that we're always up for more help, but right now really it's just myself, and I've got a partner, Jay Zimet, and our sons both wrestle. And so Jay, his son is a senior at DeWitt. He was in Solon at their district tournament, and then I was at Bettendorf for their district tournament. So we were able to stream at Bettendorf, and then Jay just did other coverage. Wasn't able to stream. Actually, there's a local radio station that was streaming the Solon district anyway. So.
Oh, good. All right, well, let's start with the Bettendorf district, because that's probably going to be the one with the most local student athletes in it. What did you take away from the Bettendorf district?
So here's the deal with it. It's super competitive. A lot of good wrestling. So there's 14 weight classes, 2 qualifiers per weight class out of that district. And the Bettendorf district this year, I'm guessing COVID had something to do with the planning. It was real geographical district. So it was basically the MAC conference tournament minus Assumption and DeWitt.
Yes.
Because they're the 2A schools that are in the MAC conference. So, yeah, it was awesome. Bettendorf ended up leading the way in terms of qualifiers. They got 9 kids through. North Scott got 8 kids through. So they're right there with them. North Scott took the team title at districts by, I can't remember now, just under 10 points, 9.5 points or something like that. So real competitive, good wrestling all day long. It was a lot of fun.
I would say, and excuse me if I'm wrong, the 170 bracket was probably the toughest one. I believe there was 4 kids ranked in that bracket.
Yeah, 170 was an absolute barn burner. So Tim Nimley is probably the highest ranked kid, most accomplished. He got 5th place last year at state. So he was sort of the favorite going in. And then in my mind, the next one would have been PD's Ryan Kammerer, and then some combination of Bettendorf, Austin Barta, and then North Scott has Seth Madden. It was a wild bracket. So Seth Madden was able to take out Ryan Kammerer in the semis to make it into the finals. And then on the backs, and then he lost to Tim Nimley in the finals.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the backside, Austin Barta actually beat Ryan Kammerer again also. And so he got a wrestle back against Seth Madden for the true second place match. And Madden ended up coming out on top of that by a point or so. It was close, man. That was a wild match. That one, if anyone didn't see it yet, you don't want to jump on our YouTube and you can find that one. It was Matt 1 with all the finals and wrestle back matches. It was awesome. It was awesome.
Obviously, the big story coming out of the district is Ella Schmidt, who became the third girl to ever qualify for the Iowa High School Athletic Association Boys State Wrestling Tournament. Ella's a friend of the show, and so we were very proud and happy of her. We support her and everything else. We were saying at the top of the hour when I looked at it, I studied her bracket pretty extensively, and I just think the key is probably a first-round win, but that's a key for everybody that wants to get on the podium here up at state.
Yeah, absolutely. Ella, what a phenomenal story. Great kid, great wrestler. I think it's definitely a possibility. I will say I haven't studied all of the brackets as much as I will.
Okay.
And, but I've definitely looked at all of them, and I think she's got a shot at making the podium for sure. I think her recent opponent, Aiden Nicholas from Davenport West, as well. I think it'd be awesome. I think it's very possible that they both make the podium.
Which would be fantastic. Is there any other? Were there any upsets from the district that you saw?
I'm trying to think through. It's kind of a whirlwind. I definitely think Seth Madden, although he wouldn't, which all competitors wouldn't look at it this way, but I'd say his upset over Ryan Kammerer was definitely a big one. One kind of a big, which I saw it coming because we also streamed the Wednesday regional duel at Bettendorf, but Josh Pelzer moved up to 145. 138 around our area. Me and Jay Simon have been calling it a meat grinder all year long. It's been Josh Connor kind of at the top, and then some combination of Hunter Meyer from PV, Mason Crabtree from Muscatine, and then Josh Pelzer from Bettendorf. They all beat each other pretty much all year long. So Pelzer going up to 145 kind of opened that one up a little bit, and then Hunter Meyer from PV ended up getting the second place after Josh Connor took the championship, and then Hunter Meyer. So this to me is a cool story. Hunter was a 3-time third place finisher at districts. So he was all three of his first years of high school. He was one win away from making it to state. His senior year, he finally did cash it in, and he'll be wrestling Thursday afternoon. I guess it's at 1:30. It's a 2A session.
I know if you said you haven't looked at the brackets too much yet, I mean, obviously you will, but I've looked at each one of them, and you can kind of, which was different than previous years, and when I say previous, about, 3, 4, 5 years ago, and before that. Now you can kind of see where people are seated at. Obviously, we have in the area, just trying to look around at some of them. I saw that Griffin, the heavyweight from Bettendorf, was seated 1. There's another wrestler from Bettendorf seated 1. Do you know him?
I do. Well, there's 2. There's actually 2. So Bradley Hill is seated number 1 at 220. And then Dustin Boren, I believe, is the 1 seed at 126 as well.
The first one, I want to say the 220, just because you might be related to you. The other one I was going to get to, I was leading to, and that's Dustin Boren. This is an interesting story at 126. Because... Yeah, that one, it got opened up pretty... So 132, I guess what it comes down to is going to be a really fun... They're all going to be fun. Yeah.
But Drake Ayala from Fort Dodge, 2-time state champ, Iowa commit, moved up to 132 for the postseason. So that opened the door a little bit for a kid like Dustin Bourne from Bettendorf to take that 1 seed. Pretty exciting. So, and bear with me, and you fill in the holes of any of the story. I'm going to tell Tira the story about this kid from Fort Dodge, Drake Ayala, who's 2-time state champion, is going to wrestle at Iowa. He went up in a meet against Waverly Shellrock, right? Yep.
And the kid was Ryder Block, right?
Yes, sir. Yep.
A defending state champion at 106?
Yes.
Okay, so Ryder Block's undefeated. Drake Ayala is also, he bumps up to 132, and Ryder Block beats him. All right? And he's like, I'm not going to... And this Drake kid's like, I went up. They're like, why'd you do it? You could put, like, this on the line and everything else. And he's like, I'm not going to run away from a fight. So, He just in the duel he goes up. And then it hit Twitter news on Saturday. Drake Ayala is going up to 132 at districts because he's coming back. He wants that rematch. So it changed everything. Like Rob's saying, the kid Boren, who's got the number 1 seed, probably would have a 2 seed, and he'd have a hammer in the finals if he makes it there. There's no guarantees. Just because you're a 1 seed, 2 seed, 3 seed, there's no guarantees to your place there. But it's a pretty cool story that the kid moved up.
So he can get a rematch with the Shell Rock kid?
Yeah. Right. So those are the type of things that make the state tournament so much fun.
Now, it's so cool. And I think one of the things that Drake said early on this year was he's won 2 state titles. He's going to Iowa. This year's not about winning a 3rd state title, although I'm sure he obviously wants it. It's about getting the best competition he can possibly get to be ready for the next level. And so, he moved up to wrestle Ryder Black and lost a close one. And so he can't live with himself if he doesn't try to get that match back. So that's pretty impressive. That's a pretty awesome story.
Yeah.
Who's the heavyweight at Bettendorf?
That's the Griffin Little that we talked about. Yeah.
All right. So he's not the 1 seed?
No, he's not the 1 seed. No, he's the 2 actually, isn't he?
Griffin's the 2.
Yeah, I apologize.
Okay, I thought he would be a 1.
No, he took a loss.
Oh, he did.
Yeah. Now I'm assuming the 1 seed is the kid's from Ames, right?
Yep.
Was
Griffin? He lost a close one, 3-1 to Gabe Greenlee, who Griffin beat in the state finals last season.
Okay, is that from Ames? I forget where he's from. And is he related to Joel?
Yeah, they're brothers. Joel and Nathan Jessaroga are brothers.
Because Griffin won state last year, right?
Yeah, he beat it, like Rob said, he beat this kid in the finals last year, and now, where did they meet at, Urbandale?
Yes, at Urbandale.
Okay, so he's got a win over him, so that's why he's the 1, Griffin's the 2. So there is only 2. I apologize. For some reason, I thought Griffin was the 1. Yeah, so the only 2 seeds are Hill and Boren for Bettendorf. Do we have any other 1 seeds at all out of the area?
I don't think we do. Oh, yeah, Kill Brisker.
Oh, yeah. Out of Comanche.
138 from Wilton. Yep.
Wilton, I apologize, yeah. Okay, so that'll be in 1A or 2A? That's 1A.
1A.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, so
having a great year. He took 1 loss this year, but it was to 2-time returning state champion Aiden Noonan from Cascade.
Okay.
So,
What's your
look for him to be up there Saturday night? Look forward to that too.
What's your schedule going to be like for the state tournament as far for QCA Wrestle?
I don't know. I'm really curious. I don't know. This will be my first time. I've been to this tournament maybe, I don't know, I was going to say 100 times, but many times.
Mm-hmm.
But first time as a media member, and we have 1 media pass. They're a little bit. This year's a little tight for media passes, just with COVID regulations and everything. So I'll definitely be pictures, some clips here and there. But I need to read up. Actually, talking with you, Jay, will help. I'll pick your brain later too. But I know there's only so much I can do, like in terms of videos. Like I think I saw like 10 clips per day, not to exceed 5 minutes total length. So
yeah,
I won't be able to stream, obviously, but the streaming will all be available through Track Wrestling and the High School Athletic Association as well.
And the High School Sports Network, yeah.
We'll be tweeting. We'll tweet out a bunch of results and stuff, and do some interviews and do as much as I can, really by myself. But then, like you said, Thursday and Friday, I'll be pulling on you. We can work together to team up and get some stuff done.
We can most definitely collaborate and do the best that we can to get that together. Real quick before I let you go, state duels. Let's see. I believe, am I right? Bettendorf got the 5 seed, North Scott got the 4 in Class 3A?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And Bettendorf's got Waukee the first round.
Bettendorf's got Waukee and North Scott's got Fort Dodge first round. Both pretty darn tough, but you never know what's going to happen.
Well, North Scott can wrestle with the best of them. Really, I would say the key to them getting out of there is getting across, beating Fort Dodge would be. Wait, they're the 5. Bettendorf's the 6. Yeah, the 5 and 6. So Fort Dodge is the 4. The key there is to not give up bonus points to Fort Dodge. That's the key. Now, I don't know much about Waukee. Obviously, they're the 3 seed, but the good wrestling area and good program.
They got 12 kids through. I think 10 of them are in the state rankings. They're legit.
Waverly Shell Rock was the 1, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And then Southeast Polk is the 2.
Yeah. Is there anything else that we need to know about, Bud?
Yeah. Assumption. We didn't talk about
Yes,
Assumption.
sorry.
So Assumption is SK Duels as well. They have Independence first round, and I can't remember the. I think maybe Assumption's the 5 and Independence is the 4, or vice versa.
Yeah, you're right. It's vice versa because I saw in the 1 seed was West Delaware, and that seems to be either getting over the hump with a thorn in the side for Downport Assumption. In the past, I'd say almost 8 to 10 years it's always been West Delaware, Manchester, kind of in the way there with them at 2A.
Yeah, yep, they've been tough. They've got Coach Jeff Voss. He's got a good program there.
Yeah,
for sure. But it'll be fun. It'll be fun. Three local teams in the duels tomorrow. Start at 9:00 and wrestle all day. It'll be awesome.
Well, make sure to follow you guys. Going.
I do have, Jay, really quick, if I have time. Do you have another, 1 or 2 minutes?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. I was just going to mention I was just looking through for tomorrow. So now that it's seeded, there's sometimes the first round isn't all that exciting, but I picked out 5 matches that I'm really pumped for, so I wanted to share those with you guys too.
Sure.
2 of them are a little weird. So Dustin Boren and Cale Straley wrestled in the district final this past weekend. They're going to wrestle again in the first round tomorrow on Thursday at 1:30. So a little local, local versus local there. And then Joey Peterson and Cade Sheedy, same deal. District champ and runner-up from the Bettendorf district. They're going to face off in the first round again as well. Jace Luna, solid, awesome freshman from Bettendorf.
Got a hot mom,
too. His first match is Kane Nakaborin from Linmar. These guys are both freshmen, and I remember watching them wrestle at AAU State their 8th grade year. Kane beat Jace in maybe the quarterfinals.
Okay.
And then I'm almost positive, I saw Aaron Luna was watching, so he can correct me, but I'm almost positive Jace beat Kane for 3rd. So that'll be a fun one. First round, obviously, they're a couple of tough competitors.
Yeah, Aaron's not nearly as hot as his mom or his wife.
He's got an infectious smell, though.
Yeah.
And then Aiden Nicholas from Davenport West has a tough one. First round, Bowen Downey from Indianola. That's going to be one to watch for. And then kind of another one is the last one on my kind of to watch list. TJ Fitzpatrick from Assumption wrestled State O'Shea from Keokuk.
Okay.
So O'Shea beat TJ twice so far, but they wrestled at sectionals, and I can't remember the score, but Tate O'Shea beat TJ. But then at districts, O'Shea medical forfeited in the finals, so TJ was the district champ. So that'll just be an interesting. These guys obviously have some history, and that'll be a fun one to watch in the 2A session Thursday night.
I'm going to ask you a question if you have another minute.
Uh-huh.
And T-Ray kind of brought this up, and he said it's basically he was piggybacking on something that Matt Koss said on Twitter about. I hope. I guess I don't really hope the seeding start part of the state, which is like I said, new. Are you a fan of it?
I am and I'm not.
Okay.
So I'm a little bit torn on the fun part about the old way was you would sometimes get a state championship type match in the first round. That's kind of been eliminated now. I'm sure some anomalies can happen, but really the first couple rounds, typically the guys who on paper should win will win.
Mm-hmm.
They still got to do it. So there's going to be upsets, but that's what you can kind of expect. But the bad part is these weird local matchups like Dustin Bourne and Cale Straley and Joy Pearson and Kate Sheedy. They just wrestled a couple days before, and we know what happens. Now here's an opportunity for them to hopefully, for the guys who lost at districts, they can try to, reverse that result. It's weird though. That never used to happen. Used to be you'd be on the opposite side of the bracket of your district competitor. So it's weird.
It's just the way the draw goes.
I like the seeding, but I think that they could take some of that under consideration maybe in the future. It's just try to separate from the guys who are in the same districts.
Yeah, I see the point, but I'm so more pro seeding that the negatives do not outweigh the positives in my eyes. That's all.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. Yeah, same.
All right, Rob. Everyone can follow you across the board on social media at QCA Wrestle and go to QCAWrestle.com. And I see also you're sharing pictures of people wearing your gear.
Yeah. So we've been working with GT Sports, and Eldridge has been hooking us up with shirts, and we're starting to get they're getting pretty popular. So we've been handing them out at events, and I got to pick up some more actually tonight before I head out of town tomorrow morning, and we'll have some more gear to hand out up at State. So
I'm a large.
Cool.
T-Roy, what are you?
Yeah.
I 3X, bro.
T-Roy's a 3X. I'm a large. Just throwing it out there.
I don't want to look like fat guy, little coat.
Just throwing it out there, my friend. All right.
I might have something for you when I see you, Jay.
That's great. Sure. All right. We will talk off the air within, if not today, within the couple days before. Well, probably today because I don't want to bother you tomorrow. We'll start figuring out how we're going to collaborate, and whatever you need me to do while I'm up there, I'm more than willing to help because you guys have done such a good job this year. And like I was saying at the top of the hour about you and Jay, is that you guys have really taken a load off of anything I was stressing about in the past 2 or 3 years about covering and rankings and everything else. And you guys have done what I started to do and blew it up even better. And so happy for what you're doing and that you're highlighting Eastern Iowa wrestling. And I know if the Western Illinois would have opened up the way that we wanted it to, you would have done just as good for Western Illinois. So I want to say I appreciate your efforts, and I hope everyone goes out there and follows you guys on Facebook, follows you on Twitter, Instagram, anything else, and follows your tweets from this weekend.
Awesome. I really appreciate it, Jay. It's been fun, and we're going to keep going. And I want to thank you for all your help as well. You've been very supportive, so thank you to you as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Rob. I appreciate your time. Rob. We'll make sure to share, follow, all that good stuff for you, and get your word out there even more.
Outstanding. Thanks, guys. Have a good day.
Yep. We'll talk to you. Thanks. Yep. Bye. All right. That's Rob Hill from QCA Wrestle. They were doing a great job, like I said, supporting the sport of wrestling. It's something we need to do. You see, if you're watching on Facebook Live, that I'm wearing a shirt that says Sanctioned Girls Wrestling. Obviously, they support it as well. He talked briefly about Ella Schmidt, but there's we could have talked for hours about how great she is, but there's other wrestlers that we need to highlight as well. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back. We're going to talk some more about Chris Doyle, listen to a couple sound bites, and baseball. So here on ESPN 1170 AM.
Locally owned and operated since 1934, Tri-City Equipment has been your source for restaurant equipment value ever since. If you need to get something for a home chef or you're looking to cater something there, you can check them out online at tricityequipment.com or stop down to 527 West 4th Street in Davenport, and you can look at their newly remodeled 2,400 square foot showroom with over 1,600 items in stock. Remember, they deliver to all Quad City residents and they match online pricing, so you don't need Amazon, folks. Give them a call today, 563-322-5382, and they can answer any questions you have. Showroom hours 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. That's Tri-City Equipment, 527 West 4th Street in Davenport.
We're going streaking through the quad and into the gymnasium. Come on, everybody! You like that? You like that?
Give me a hell yeah! I said give me a hell yeah!
This is Matt Koss of the Quad City Times, and you are listening to Don't Hassle Us, We're Local.
Janae and Golick Jr.
The difference that a ring makes in a Hall of Fame campaign, like the one Phillip Rivers is going to get ready for, is seismic for me,
I don't
Janae.
like you. I don't like you right now.
Why is that?
I really don't like you. Because, I am 28 years old, professional athlete currently for the LA Sparks, and I come front every day. I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to win a championship. It matters so much to me because I feel like honestly that's the only thing I haven't really done. I did it in high school, didn't get to do it in college, and then now at the professional level against the best of the best. That's awesome. But it's funny because it's graded on the scale of how much does a championship matter to that athlete, right? At some point, some people are just good with their legacy being pretty good and better than most, but I just think it's funny because every time these things are sometimes subjective per the athlete. I would love it, but I'm still good regardless, but it would help.
Janae and Golick Jr., 306 on the Quad City Sports Leader, ESPN 1170.
If you own a small business, you know how hard it can be to find new customers. Now, Town Square has new tools that can help your business stand out and grow today. Go to GetLocalCustomersNow.com for a free local market competitive analysis that will show you what other businesses in town are doing to find new customers and how you can do it too with Town Square. Plus, be one of the first business owners to sign up with Town Square and receive $500 in free advertising on this radio station. Start growing your business today. Visit GetLocalCustomersNow.com. GetLocalCustomersNow.com.
I'm Kyle Montgomery with NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network. While Carson Wentz's future remains in flux, Jalen Hurts is preparing as if he's the starter in Philly. The second-year QB plans to hold a throwing session with the Eagles receivers in his native Texas, per NBC Sports. Colts also have a question mark at QB, and Indy's All-Pro linebacker Darius Leonard has a simple request for his next signal caller, telling Sirius XM NFL Radio, quote, "If you're going to come in and put the team first and help us win ball games, come on down to the Colts." And some tragic news to report, as former Chargers and Buccaneers Pro Bowl receiver Vincent Jackson passed away at 38 years old. Jackson was known for his charity work on behalf of military families through his Jackson in Action 83 Foundation, and was mourned by the Chargers, who said in a statement, quote, "Vincent was a fan favorite not only for his Pro Bowl play on the field, but for the impact he made on the community off of it. We simply cannot believe he's gone." This has been NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network.
Maybe you've heard about MediShare and you know what it is. It's the affordable alternative to health insurance, but you've wondered, can I really save a significant amount of money on my monthly healthcare bills? And the answer is an emphatic yes, you can. You could save a lot of money, whether it's just for you or for an entire family. MediShare has an option for you. In fact, the typical family saves $500 a month switching to MediShare. And it really is the gold standard when it comes to healthcare sharing. You get free telehealth services, you get a huge network of doctors, you get great customer support, and you get the sense of security that comes from being a part of 400,000 people who share not just each other's medical bills, but purpose too. MediShare is a community of Christians who pull together and pray for each other, which is very refreshing right now. If you want more info, it's so simple. You can get a price within 2 minutes. Call 844-91-BIBLE. That's 844-91-BIBLE. 844-91-BIBLE.
Comfort, efficiency, and peace of mind that you only get from Precision Air. The best in heating, AC, geothermal, and indoor air quality. The best equipment, the best service, and the best warranty. Sleep comfortably with a 10-year parts warranty on new furnace and AC units. And with financing available, your new Train home comfort system is waiting for you now. Trust the experience of your Train comfort specialists and call the masters of comfort and efficiency today at Precision Air of the Quad Cities. Online at PrecisionAirQC.com. Precision Air. We'll be right there.
Keyshawn Johnson, Jay Williams, and Zubin Mahente.
Were there not rumors circling around about whether the Rams were going to bench Jared Goff?
No, that's just
he's not having a better season than Kyler Murray.
Never benching
he's not
Jared
having
Goff.
a better season than Kyler Murray. How could you have him ranked ahead of him?
I think he's a better quarterback than Kyler Murray, but that's just me.
Keyshawn, Jay, Will, and Zubin. Mornings on the Quad City Sports Leader, ESPN 1170. We're playing all the hits. The Quad City Sports Leader, ESPN 1170.
Welcome back, everybody. You are listening to the greatest show on earth. Don't hassle us. We're local. Thanks for everybody that tunes in on AM 1170 and all of our followers on Facebook.
I know, I say this all
Live.
the time, but it really is the greatest show. And we have the greatest guests. And thanks for Rob for
We
talking
really
to
do.
us. And then we're going to have Emily here in just about 30 minutes talking some football, some draft with you. She's always great. We haven't talked to her in, I don't know, 2 weeks or so. Before we went to the air, we were talking to... we were talking about the Chris Doyle situation that happened over the Thursday, Friday, and the passing. The first thing we're going to listen to is a little bit of Keyshawn talking about the hiring, and he's going to make some comments. And feel free to think about what you will. If you want me to pause at any time, T-Ray, let me pause. Okay.
And really do an amazing job. Now I'm like, all that energy that
He's talking
I
about
had
Urban
for
Meyer.
Jacksonville's gone. Right, and when you look at it, it's tone deaf, as far as I'm concerned with Urban Meyer right now. Given our climate and the things that we've gone through over the last 4 years here in our country, let's just say that, and then you go out there and you hire somebody. Yeah, you've known him for 20 plus years,
sure.
and you've vetted him.
That's all I want. Yeah.
I mean, I have a problem with this narrative the last 4 years.
Okay.
Okay? If he really wants to get technical, it's been going on for quite a while, what he's referring to. Things with African Americans and racism, okay? A lot longer than 4 years.
Sure.
So I'm tired of it's only been going on for 4 years, rhetoric, whatever you want to call it. Tone deaf, I could see his point, very much so. I can see his point. How about this? I don't need to agree with him wholeheartedly, but I can see his point of view.
Okay.
Follow me here?
Yes.
All right, but I wanted to have you pause it right there so I didn't forget my spot. 'Cause I think the 4-year thing is just, no, I'm not giving him that.
Right.
Yes, all of those things are true. You can say that. But yet and still, the allegations at Iowa was disturbing. They gave him $1.1 million to leave for a reason. And there's over 50 players came to the university athletic department.
Is that true?
And told their story.
They gave him money to leave? I thought
out of 50 players,
it was
everybody
part of
can't
his
be
contract.
lying.
They broke the contract, so
now
he got money.
In your first opportunity,
Guaranteed
your
contract.
first job in the National Football League, you want to start by hiring a guy that had racial issues at the school that he was at as a head strength and conditioning coach over a 20-year span at the University of Iowa. And Urban Meyer made the decision to bring him in to the organization in Jacksonville and believe that he's going to be a value to some of the players that are coming into those locker rooms, that when free agency hits, that you can explain to those players that, oh, no, he's okay, we vetted it. You can explain that to players? I doubt it. Now, everybody is going to say, well, you got to give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he's changed. The dude just was fired 9 months ago. So you're going to make that big of a change and that big of a swoop in nine months
I'm good right
on
there.
your views. The way
we had a lot of people on this show when this all transpired. I mean, we tried to get a lot of different viewpoints. I mean,
Absolutely.
we had Felicia Goodson on, and we heard the viewpoint that she said her son had. I think you and I have a lot of insight on this because of things, and I don't know. It definitely makes you think. All right, well, because I think later on in this conversation we listened a little bit further. He's basically saying, well, now isn't the time. Well, when is the time to bring this guy back? When is it okay for this guy to have a job?
Yeah.
Is it never? I don't know. I mean, I'll throw things out at you that have happened in the NFL itself that are probably, I don't know. I wouldn't say equal, but we'll just say comparable type things. Obviously, things come to mind where there's been players that have assaulted women that have been allowed back in the league.
Yeah. There was a case where Latrell Sprewell choked his coach.
Kevin Hardy is one of them. Ben Roethlisberger, charges he had. He was allowed back in the league. Michael Vick.
Yes.
He's not only
But
not only did he come back to the league, he now has a job on a network.
Yeah, it's on Fox. I think the argument there will be like, well, he served his time. This is just 9 months. The thing is he was not found guilty of any of these things by the Hush Blackwell. It's never come out that said that. They just said there's allegation. There are claims. There are people that said things. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right, and he lost his job because of it.
Someone had to fall on the sword.
Obviously, he's lost professional credibility, if you will. That's what's going on here.
Okay.
That whether we agree with it or not, that is what's going on. We are definitely in a very sensitive time, and I don't know, Jay. For me to speak on what Keyshawn has dealt with in his life, I can't.
Yeah. No.
Okay. So I'm not even going to try. I can disagree with his take on a couple things.
There's just no way it's ever going to happen that someone's going to go on air and be like, "Nah, it's a decent hire. The guy's got a good past, and he's
when it comes to strength and conditioning, he's one of the best ever."
Yeah, he's the top, and to go like, no one's going to go on air. I'm sorry, no one's going to go on air and go, it's a controversial maybe, but it's a good move for them. He doesn't deal with players. I guess you have to talk to players or whatever else, but
right.
I don't know if that's going to hurt free agency. It's been pointed out, and I can't confirm or deny this or whatever. Yeah. I can look it up, but it's been pointed out that Jacksonville led the league in injuries last year in the NFL. They led the league.
So is that something where he wanted to fix the culture?
That's what it's
strength and conditioning.
Yes, to stop the injuries. That's all you do. If you can point that out, instead of just be like, we vetted and be like, look, this guy is the best at what he did, and he's obviously. Jacksonville did their research. They know what they were getting. They know I guarantee you they looked at the Hush Blackwell Independent Counsel and they read things that we've never read. I guarantee you they did. I guarantee you they know more. Listen, if I'm looking at you and I'm talking to people out there and on Facebook Live looking at camera saying, I know more than I should, which I do, they know a lot more than me.
Right.
And they knew what they're getting into. I don't know, let's just move on and see. This is the reaction to his resignation.
Me
by,
personally,
Stephen A.
I don't know if cancel culture applies here or whatever, but I'm of the mindset that this is the land of second chances. And, when I initially heard of the hire of Chris Doyle, I sided with Urban Meyer from this perspective. He said it was vetted. I assumed that he had spoken to players. As well as folks within the organization before making the decision, and that it wasn't a unilateral decision on his part, and that everybody was on board. And that's really the way that I took it, and I left it at that. Little did I know that Urban Meyer hadn't consulted with players, hadn't really talked to anybody. He swore that he vetted Chris Doyle, but clearly, the facts show otherwise. The reality of the situation is that to have this guy coming out of Iowa, known for racist remarks and bullying and belittling players, that's bad enough. But when you take into account Urban Meyer's history, particularly as it pertained to Zach Smith, the former Ohio State receivers coach, he had hired 3 years after Zach Smith got in trouble on domestic violence charges and stuff like that. Urban Meyer has dropped the ball, and that was years ago. And so to come into the new job and to do it again, and this is one of your first hires, it makes Urban Meyer look very, very bad. It makes him come across as very desensitized or insensitive to the times that we're living in and what's been going on. And more importantly, I think he can expect to be confronted by some players who'd want an explanation as to why he would think that it was okay to make that decision. And just as an aside, I just want to say this. I'm one of those guys who believes if you're not in jail, okay, if you're not incarcerated, you should be working for somebody, because if you ain't working for somebody, then that means we got to support you as citizens paying our taxes and stuff like that. I support everybody being employed, so I'm never happy.
I can't believe this is Stephen A. Smith. He's not yelling, and I agree with him.
That's just weight on society as a whole. Having said all of that, when you're in positions of leadership and you're a leader of men and you have a plethora of men that you're overseeing, and to some degree you're going to have to answer to as well, even though you're the boss, you've got to sensitize yourself to a situation well enough to know what decisions you should and should not make.
Yes.
And Urban Meyer.
All right. The leader of men. Name me one director of sports performance in the NFL that stands out to you. That he's such a leader.
I think maybe he was referring to Urban there.
Okay. And what you have to answer to players that say hey, why did you hire this guy or whatever else?
I think, man, I really wish we could get some of our former NFL friends on here. I think there's a drastic difference between an NFL locker room and a college locker room.
100%.
And I'll just point out the most glaring. We're talking $1 million contracts.
Yeah.
As opposed to you're playing for the love of the game and a scholarship.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean that's it. Period. Does your boss here, Jay, have to explain to you everything that happens here?
No. Not at all.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't have to explain to a bartender why I bring in a certain liquor or certain booze.
Yeah.
Just pour it or not. If they ask for it, pour it. Period. This is a little bit different than that, obviously, so don't think that I'm trying to gloss over that fact, but I think what he said, man, one, he wasn't yelling, so it's refreshing that Stephen A can actually talk without screaming.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's absolutely right. If you have the ability to work in this country, you should. Otherwise, you're a burden to society. I mean, that's period. That's it. I agree with him 100% on that take. I don't know what he knows about the vetting and if it wasn't true or if not. I mean, Jay, I think we both, like you said, I think we were both in agreement that they looked at every report from Hush Blackwell.
That's been allowed to us.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
He got the job because of what he can do, not because of what he's done off the field or what he's been accused of. He got the job for what he can do as a strength and conditioning person.
Mm-hmm.
We brought this up with Cakes. I think a little bit with AC, that he's really not going to have much contact directly with players.
Mm-hmm.
So,
let me tell you. Let me share something.
I mean, when AC was here and we did talk to him, it was like, man, he goes, they're giving him, they're giving him the business on NFL Now or on ESPN. He said,
yeah.
I didn't feel from AC's take that AC had a problem with him getting the job. Did you?
No, I'll tell you what AC said off the air, and what he said was, he was a professor adjunct there at
Iowa.
At Iowa,
Yeah.
He had plenty of athletes and football players, and he said at times there were some that were like, "Yo, AC, yo, coach, yo, professor, they're telling me to do this, they're doing that," and they did. There was a time where some of his student athletes would say like, "I don't like the way they're treating me. I feel out of line," and AC would start like the father figure that we're used to. Are you showing up on time? As a matter of fact, are you showing up early? Are you doing everything they're asking you to do? Are you going the extra mile? Are you there at all the weightlifting sessions? Are you doing this and that? And if they were hesitant, he'd say, you got to do this. You have to do what you're told because you're under the scholarship. You're a student athlete. They need you there at a certain time for a reason. You need to be a study
lessons.
table. Yeah, you need to be a
little
study
bit of these
table.
are life lessons. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't just walk around and
then he tells
not
us
do your job.
He tells a story where he has, it's student athlete, and they say, yeah, and then over the weekend he sees a story that the house is rated and listed as a drug house, and he's like, what am I supposed to do here? But he did say he goes, he feels bad because he felt like maybe he could have gone the extra mile and talked to these kids and tried to maybe do a little bit of investigation or hear them out more. But he always made sure, are you doing what's asked of you? Not told. Are you doing what's asked of you? We want you to be here. We would like you to be here at this time,
Right.
or do this and that. And are you going the extra mile? Are you putting in the time, the reps that's needed to be to make yourself, a Division I athlete? And they're here for a reason. The coaches are. Is there abuse and power at some point? I guess so. Did he belittle some people? I guess so. Maybe that's the way he motivated some people. I can't say here or there either way. I can only.
there.
I wasn't there. I can just tell you this: if it takes someone you have. Okay, let's break this down real quick. College roster.
Yeah.
We're thinking 100, 120 on the roster. Only 70 will dress though, something like
Okay,
that.
yeah.
We'll just round it to an even 100. All right.
Okay.
20 years. That's 2,000 people.
We'll just say 150 of them will dress.
Yeah, and there's 50, I believe, that came out and said something. 50 out of 2,000 student athletes that he somehow, encouraged in some way, motivated them to do things. 50 out of 2,000 came out and said he's a bad person.
Well,
that was as a career. Listen,
all right, but Jay, someone argued that one is more than enough.
True.
Okay. I mean,
all right.
I'll devil advocate that. I mean,
that's a fair point, and I can't argue that at all.
I can't. It's. I guess the point to what I was trying to make earlier is just that when is it going to be okay for him to be able to step back into the field that he obviously excels in? When will it be okay where, if you want to call it cancel culture, if you want to just call it the ESPN talking heads, whatever you want to call it, where people won't look at a program and say, what are you doing? What are you doing? When will this guy, when will his sentence be up?
Okay.
His sentence of public opinion. How about
Two
that?
things. I'll go back to when we first talked about it, and on the Harrington's Pub Facebook comment thread, Easer A said he should go into being a consultant. That way people can hire him on their own thing, and he can charge whatever he wants. Fair. I can understand that. Eddie said he's done for 10 years.
Huh.
How old is he? 57, 58, 59?
He's older than us.
So he's going to go into his 60s, and then he's going to start showing you the proper technique?
If he's done for 10 years, he's retired.
Eddie says he would have a way different attitude in the NFL locker room, but he's not getting in again. He's not going to be in the NFL locker room. That's the thing. You'd be shocked at how much they do not have these NFL players lift. Really shocked.
Well, they lift, but they have their own guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But it's not like they may show you the facilities and there may be all this stuff or whatever else, but it's not like O-line, you guys are done for the day. You guys are going into the weight room. It doesn't work like that. Right. And then D-line in 15 minutes or whatever else, where we're going to go through calisthenics, and then you guys.
The point, though, they know they have to lift and they have to do what they got to do.
Yes, Erickson, you're right. He could have. Meyer could have talked to Greg Maben, and we talked about this with Kakert. Maben is a cornerback on the Jacksonville Jaguars roster who played at Iowa. So yeah, he could have reached out to players and said whatever he wanted to. But again, we knew when he was hired he was going to make his own decisions. It's it's a reaction, and it happens. And I the worst part about it is I don't think you were shocked. I don't think I was shocked. I know I wasn't shocked.
Oh, that he got fired?
Yeah, that he resigned.
Sorry, all right, he resigned.
You say that with air quotes, though, right? He resigned. Yeah.
He got fired.
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes
he was told to resign. Let's just tell it like it is. I mean, come on, man.
Yeah. That's, he said, it was suggested that maybe we should just go. You can resign and keep your 3-year contract money.
Yeah.
So,
or we fire you.
Mm-hmm. And it looks bad. Even worse on your name. Type of thing. All right. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to do baseball odds. And then at 1:30, we're going to talk to Emily Van Buskirk.
Yeah, I'm excited about that, too. Front Street Brewery, Jay, is the oldest brew pub in Iowa. You know that because you wrote the ad. Mm-hmm. It's been served in Davenport since 1992. Great beers. Bird, the Davenport Gold, the Wise Guy, the Raging River, and your favorite Cherry Bomb Blonde. Remember, their Facebook page is available for all their food and drink specials, or try them at www.frontstreetbrew.com. Those are our friends at Front Street Brewery, the restaurant, 208 East River Drive, the tap room in the Freight House Complex.
The Rock says he's going to make your Rudy Poo candy ass famous. You like that? You like that? Give me a hell yeah. I said give me a hell yeah.
This is Merrick Brave from SCW Pro, and you are listening to Don't Hassle Us, We're Local.
If you own a small business, you know how hard it can be to find new customers. Now, Town Square has new tools that can help your business stand out and grow today. Go to GetLocalCustomersNow.com for a free local market competitive analysis that will show you what other businesses in town are doing to find new customers and how you can do it too with Town Square. Plus, be one of the first business owners to sign up with Town Square and receive $500 in free advertising on this radio station. Start growing your business today. Visit GetLocalCustomersNow.com. That's GetLocalCustomersNow.com.
For the freshest homemade old-fashioned Mexican food, go to Nally's Kitchen, now with 2 locations, Rockingham and Division, and their new location on East 53rd Street in Davenport, next to Shell. Nally's follows all CDC guidelines and invites you to use their drive-up window at the 53rd Street location and walk-up window at the Rockingham location. Order online at nallyskitchen.com and find daily specials on Facebook. Gift cards available too. Nally's Kitchen, old-fashioned Mexican food, Rockingham and Division, and now East 53rd Street in Davenport.
I'm Kyle Montgomery with NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network. While Carson Wentz's future remains in flux, Jalen Hurts is preparing as if he's the starter in Philly. The second-year QB plans to hold a throwing session with the Eagles receivers in his native Texas, per NBC Sports. Colts also have a question mark at QB, and Indy's All-Pro linebacker Darius Leonard has a simple request for his next signal caller, telling Sirius XM NFL Radio, quote, "If you're going to come in and put the team first and help us win ball games, come on down to the Colts." And some tragic news to report, as former Chargers and Buccaneers Pro Bowl receiver Vincent Jackson passed away at 38 years old. Jackson was known for his charity work on behalf of military families through his Jackson in Action 83 Foundation, and was mourned by the Chargers, who said in a statement, quote, "Vincent was a fan favorite not only for his Pro Bowl play on the field, but for the impact he made on the community off of it. We simply cannot believe he's gone." This has been NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network.
Maybe you've heard about MediShare and you know what it is. It's the affordable alternative to health insurance, but you've wondered, can I really save a significant amount of money on my monthly healthcare bills? And the answer is an emphatic yes, you can. You could save a lot of money, whether it's just for you or for an entire family. MediShare has an option for you. In fact, the typical family saves $500 a month switching to MediShare. And it really is the gold standard when it comes to healthcare sharing. You get free telehealth services, you get a huge network of doctors, you get great customer support, and you get the sense of security that comes from being a part of 400,000 people who share not just each other's medical bills, but purpose too. MediShare is a community of Christians who pull together and pray for each other, which is very refreshing right now. If you want more info, it's so simple. You can get a price within 2 minutes. Call 844-91-BIBLE. That's 844-91-BIBLE. 844-91-BIBLE.
Primary politics. More from the Iowa Almanac in a moment. The county courthouse is the center of attention in towns small and large throughout our state. Celebrated photographer Michael Harker chronicles our iconic Iowa courthouses in an award-winning collection of striking photographs, now available for the first time at a discounted price. Get one of the last remaining copies of the book Harker's Courthouses today at totallyiowa.com. Iowa became a state in 1846 and adopted the common national practice of the time of caucuses and conventions. Ultimately, Iowa adopted a statewide primary election law in 1907, but that was only for offices filled by direct popular vote. In 1913, Iowa's primary election law was amended to include selection of delegates to national political conventions and a presidential preference poll to determine the sentiment of voters. Iowa held its first and, as it turned out, only presidential primary on April 10, 1916. But none of the major presidential candidates entered, and less than one-third of the eligible voters cast a ballot. Governor George Clark, who called for a presidential primary law in his inaugural address in 1913, had seen enough, calling the 1916 election a farce and urging repeal of the law. That happened quickly, and on February 16, 1917, the new governor, William Harding, signed the bill into law. Iowa's presidential primary elections were banned by state law signed on this date in 1917. And that's Iowa Almanac for February 16th. Until tomorrow, I'm Jeff Stein.
All the sports you need right here. The Quad Cities sports leader is ESPN 1170 AM. KBOB, Davenport, a Town Square media station.
What's up, you little hassle maniacs out there? Welcome back to the show. Jay, the Macho Man says, "Dude, it's cold. Yeah, dig it."
Ooh, speaking of Macho Man, stick around after the interview with Emily Van Buskirk when we talk a little bit about your next favorite show that's going to be on premiere tonight on NBC.
You actually got me excited about the show. But
Dude,
anyway.
I'm telling you, this show, we're going to talk about it afterwards. I got to write something up as well. It's Tuesday, February 16th. It's cold as it all can be out there.
It's warming up, though.
And the show is flying through. What a great Tuesday we're having so far. And we're going to talk a little bit quick. I don't know how quick we can do.
Well, we'll do it pretty fast. We'll see how we go. All right, so once like I said before, this came out. I saw it retweeted by our friend Jessica Kleinschmidt, and it was from Fangraphs, Jay. And what we'll do here, so it gives a list of each team in their division, and then the team with the biggest chance of winning the World Series is the one that is at the top of the division, obviously. So I'll start with the AL East, and you work your way down.
Okay.
You tell me who, and I'll tell you how close you were. Okay?
Okay, hold on. All right. Okay, go again now. We're starting with the AL East?
AL East.
And you want me to give you the favorite?
The favorite and what percentage you think they have to win the World Series.
The percentage.
Yeah.
So is this broken down? I have to break it to an even 100?
No. Just
favorite
just,
to, okay.
Just what team... what do you think the percentage odds that the Yankees will make the World Series?
Okay, I think the Yankees are the favorite in the East.
Okay.
The percentage that make the World Series?
Uh-huh.
Oh. The percentage I have them at to make the World Series, it's not 55%?
No. 91.6.
To make the World...
That's their playoff odds.
Okay.
Playoff odds.
91.6%. Stay healthy or whatever else. Okay, 91.6%.
They are, I'll give you this hint, they are the highest
in
the American League.
They're the highest in the American League. All right.
Yes.
All right.
But you're right. They are the number one team. So you said 55. So I'll give So it's going to be, you'll adjust to this pretty quick, I think, as we get going. Who do you think the second?
Toronto Blue Jays.
Okay.
Their chances of making it?
Yep.
55. They're at 45?
With 53.
53, okay.
Okay.
Third, Tampa Bay Rays.
No, they're fourth.
They have the Red Sox?
Yep.
They're at 53. Red Sox will cut it in half. 27.
47.
That's not ridiculous.
Okay.
The Rays?
Yep.
39.
18.
Okay. The percentages are high. Okay.
And then obviously Baltimore. What's their percentage?
Oh, 5.5.
0.
Okay. I was just giving them. I was giving them a little bit of
They
credit.
are the only team in baseball that has 0% chance of winning or making the playoffs, winning the World Series or getting the World Series. All right, AL Central, your favorite division.
I'm torn here because I've seen odds.
1 and 2 are really tight.
They should be really tight. I'll just give it to them because they're off season and they're farm league. I'll give the White Sox as a favorite.
It's the Minnesota.
I thought maybe it might be because I recently saw odds and it has changed. Last week it was the White Sox that were the favorite. All right, the Twins to win the World Series. 76.
Close, 65.
Oh.
White Sox.
62.
60.
Okay. Cleveland Indians.
Yep.
48.
17.
Oh, that's a drop.
Yeah.
Kansas City Royals.
Yep.
15.
10.
Detroit.
Yep.
5.
2.
Okay.
Getting better.
I'm getting better.
I like these.
Look at this. Who knew?
All right, AL West.
AL West. Okay. Houston Astros.
Yep.
Their chances to win it. 84.
71.
Ooh, I'm way high. So the Twins were up higher than the Astros?
No. Twins were 65.
65.
Astros
Okay.
were 71.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
All right. Oakland A's.
No.
Texas Rangers?
No.
The Angels?
Yes.
Okay. So that was at 75, then this has got to be a drop off. Angels at 51.
37.
Oh, that's a huge drop off.
Yep.
Then the A's.
Yes.
32.
21.
Jeez. Then the Rangers.
No.
The Rockies?
No.
No, the Rockies not. No. Then not the Rangers. Then
Mariners.
The Mariners. Oh, geez. Okay. 17.
1.7.
Oh, my goodness.
Texas.
1.
Pretty close. 0.8.
0.8. Okay. Wow.
Yeah, and it just said Fangraphs odds, playoff odds.
Mhm.
So I'm taking that as odds to not just make the playoffs. Because the way they have it, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
It has to be World Series odds. Okay.
All right. Give me. Well, that's it for the American League, right?
Yep.
We'll come back to the NFL, the National League, because we're going to call Emily.
All right.
Because she's more important than me guessing these things. But I like
It
what
went
I like.
pretty fast, though.
Yeah, I like that you found this. Okay. All right, we're going to talk to Emily Van Buskirk, our college football analyst, if you will. We're going to talk to her about the college football quarterbacks in the
By
draft.
the way, we should have talked to her about the AT&T Public Creek.
We will talk to her about that as well. Yeah.
She just gets to roll off out of the bed and just hang out there. Must be nice.
Hello.
Hi, Emily. I'm jealous. I'm just going to say right off the bat. You just get a...
When have you not answered the phone like that
Well, it's just because like every time you put a picture out there and you're like at AT&T Pebble Creek and I look out my window and it sucks.
Yeah.
But it's
the
awesome.
weather, it was raining, okay? Like, it wasn't, all sunshine and rainbows. There was rain during the Pro-Am. So.
It was minus 20 yesterday. That's cool.
It would honestly, she says that,
I
though.
mean, that was without the wind chill.
It was -1 this morning. It was -1 this morning at 6:45, but I did see a rainbow. So we had a rainbow
We did
here.
have a rainbow. There you
Yeah.
go. See? These brighter days are coming. Well, anyway,
Love
did you get a chance to actually go to the Pro-Am, or did you just take
Yeah,
pictures?
I did. You know what's funny is they said no spectators this year, which is true. You couldn't buy tickets to go, but and I did not apply for media because it was very limited. They didn't even send Michael Collins out from ESPN, so it was kind of a weird year for sure. But I live in close proximity to the links there and where they were playing here at Spyglass. I live down the street from there, so. On Valentine's Day, I took a little drive over and kind of, I don't want to say snuck in, casually strolled in and was able to watch some of the guys finish on the 18th at Pebble just from outside of they had like a little gate area where, people who were staying at the hotel could watch, which was cool. So I kind of pretended to be doing that, and I got to see a couple guys finish, which was neat. But other than that, it was a very weird year for golf. And I'm actually working on one of the caddies from Patrick Cantlay, who was a big player this year.
Yeah.
One of his caddies to come on the podcast. Yeah, his caddie's a buddy of mine, and I wanted to talk to him about, the difference in a year like this and being on PGA Tour during COVID. So I'm hopefully going to get him on the podcast next week or so, talk about that. So we'll see.
Did you happen to see any of the footage of the 3 deer that were lounging during like they were like they were in the rough, kind of like over by some trees, and then the guys putting on the green were in the background. It was just awesome. These deer were just laying there. Like one was napping, but like slowly eating grass while it was napping. It was pretty hilarious.
Yeah, that's pretty standard for down here. The deer, during COVID, especially the last year, they've taken over and made it the 17-mile drive kind of their own. So they don't really care about anybody. They just do what they want. So I'm glad that people got a taste of that at home because it's worse in real life. Like they do not care what you're trying to do. They will just sit there or stand there or do anything. So.
Well, and my wife goes, "Why aren't they normally more timid than that?" And I go, "Well, I don't.
not right now." No.
I said, "I don't think that there's a lot of hunting in California." I said, "I'm sorry, this
No,
is just
they're not.
it's I said it's probably a lot. They got nothing to fear other than a car."
Exactly, and golf carts, but they don't even fear that anymore because with everything being shut down. It's kind of been like an animal takeover in the wooded areas here. So it's a little bit scary. I'm waiting for the revolution, but...
yeah, watch out for Sasquatch. That's all I say. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
Well, we obviously wanted to get your insight on stuff going on for the draft. And I know, Jay, when I was gone, laid down, it's going to be... You and I are going to be Kuiper and McShay.
Yeah, I guess.
I guess I got to be Kuiper since I'm the old ugly one. That's fine. I'll live with that.
I don't want to be McShay.
I know you're way better than McShay.
Okay.
But yeah, I've been doing a lot of research. I mean,
okay.
obviously the talk of the draft is quarterbacks, and it's going to be that way for a long time. But like you, I like to look at different positions, and one of my favorite positions is tackle. Because I think that the offensive tackle is obviously, everybody's seen the movie Blindside, but it's so important to what's going on, and I think it's a very deep draft at tackle this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
I agree with you, and that was something that when we were at the Senior Bowl, we wrote up, a few things on guys, and there was just a lot of talk about line play, kind of on both sides. We were talking about edge rushers, really deep edge draft as well, just big guys, and of course, the guy that you always ask me about from Oregon, and I can't, Penei Sewell, I believe is how you say it. It's still unconfirmed. He definitely gets the most attention, which is so funny because every show I go on, wants to talk about him. But it's elusive because the Pac-12 didn't have a season and we didn't really get to see too much about him. So it's kind of like, that's what I said, is like his mystery and his intrigue is part of what makes his draft stock so tantalizing for teams, is because we don't really know the full potential. We know what he looks like and we know, what he possibly could do, but it's more like that it could be, it's like when people gamble, the upside could be way more than the downside, so people are willing to go all in on it. And I think that's kind of where he's capitalized the market in this regard, is this mystery, this intrigue that is selling teams on him. But we don't know what he can do or can't do, whether it'll be, good or bad, but he sure looks great. But one guy that doesn't get any love is Spencer Brown from Northern Iowa. You probably know all about him.
Well, we talked about him a couple weeks ago. You and I did before you were out at the either Senior Bowl or whatever else. But and you said
was he at the Senior Bowl?
He was, I believe.
Okay.
I think we talked to you that week, and you said he was one of the things that he was standing out as far as what you saw through all their practices and everything. But so talk about him.
Yeah, he was someone that we didn't really know, and kind of after you and I talked, I remember when I came on the show and we talked about that. I had just seen him do something. I forget exactly what it was, but he had just made some huge, play, and everyone was kind of talking about him. But he did have a week. He was extremely dominant. Like, he's scary. I know they're all kind of scary. 6 foot plus guys. But he's like 6'9", 322. He's just huge, and you notice that above everybody else. It's like, not that he's just big, but he's also athletic, so he can move. And it's almost shocking to see how quickly he gets up, and gets in people's faces. So we love to see an FCS guy do well and maybe be talked about. But I think he's going to be a bit of a sleeper. He needs to be talked about more because he's going to be a great addition to somebody's, stop somewhere.
Who else stood out to you at the Senior Bowl? Matter of fact, that was kind of a really special thing for you to be able to do what you did there. And I didn't get to talk to you last time you were in. So who else stood out?
Yeah, that's a good question. So there was a few guys, and I'm not going to go the obvious route. The quarterbacks, you really, I don't think, especially in the game, nobody had like that great a game, unfortunately, which is kind of why, people don't go for the game. They go for the practices to see how people handle things. So there was nobody except for Kellen Mond. I think he was the only one that really did well in the game and kind of like upped his draft stock. But I really like this linebacker from Houston, Grant Stewart. He is a little undersized and not as well known, but extremely hard worker. Every single drill, every single time he did anything, he's getting his teammates riled up. He's running back to the start. Just so much energy. And watching him, it was impressive to see his attitude. And he also won the Good Works Award for the Senior Bowl, which they do every year. They give, a little award to a player who has done a lot for the community. And he's organized lots of clothing drives, student drives for student books and pencils and all that kind of stuff. So he's done a lot to give back to the community. So he was one of my favorite guys to talk with and watch at the linebacker position. And then there was another guy, Ben Mason, obviously, the Michigan fullback. He was the only fullback there, so we got to see a lot of him.
No, I just laugh because that's your thing. Bring back the
Yeah.
fullback. Yeah.
People were forcing Ben Mason on me. I'm not that I don't like him, per se. Of course, I'm going to be kindred with any sort of fullback and get eyes on him. But he's a very traditional fullback, and he hits very, very hard. He's obviously going to be a good special teams addition, but I think where he needs to do a little better is in the pass catching. He's got to be able to catch passes. Whether or not you're going to be utilized in that role, in a scheme, you still need to be able to do it. So that's why I kind of favor Mason Stockey from Wisconsin over him, is because Mason has been working on that pass catching, and that was very apparent at the College Gridiron Showcase that he had been doing a lot of work on that. And he just has that kind of body type. So I like Ben Mason. I think he has a little bit to clean up but he'll definitely be a good special teams guy. I liked Ellerson Smith, the other Northern Iowa guy, defensive lineman. He was a beast, and he would get chippy with a bunch of players, which was fun to watch because you could see him get stuck in, and he started a couple fights, which, I like to see him to care that much and get in each other's faces. And then the Pac-12 guys did incredible. You had Demetrius Felton, the wide receiver from UCLA, Frank Darby, the wide receiver from ASU. They both had incredible weeks and shot up people's draft boards a little bit just from showing off like that. So you love to see the Pac-12 get some recognition since they didn't really get to play too much. And, some of those guys only had 4 games to fall on. So it's good to see them get recognized.
If I had you pick one offensive player and one defensive player from the entire draft that you think is a can't miss, who would you identify?
A can't miss.
A can't miss in the NFL.
The funny thing about all this stuff is, we don't have a crystal ball. You know what I mean?
I know.
Of Moneyball, where, they're sitting across from Billy Bean, and they're telling him, oh, you're going to go, we want to invest in such in you, and you're going to play pro, and he skips out on Stanford because they told him you're a sure thing. This always reminds me of that one scene, but because they don't know. We don't know who is going to pan out and who's not. We can look at all the intangibles. We can look at all the numbers. We can look at everything, But at the end of the day, whether they're going to pan out, sometimes it's up to chance, it's luck, or it's just sheer force of will.
A lot of times it's the organization, too.
It is, too. It's how they utilize them. And look at Andrew Luck. I will say this to the day I die. If Andrew Luck had gone to the Patriots and had Tom Brady set up, it would have been a completely different career for Andrew Luck. You know what I mean? He would have had all the things he needed to succeed instead of a Colts team that didn't want to invest in offensive line for him. And, he would have saved his spleen. He would have saved a lot of things. So
I think the same thing's happening to Sam Darnold.
I know. And that's the problem that we talk about with these guys getting drafted. We look at Trevor Lawrence going, probably first in the draft, and we say, okay, well, he's amazing, and same with Baker Mayfield. All these guys that go so high, but we have to remember that the teams they're going to are dumpster fires. That's the reason they're getting these high draft picks. So unless those organizations are willing, to sacrifice some things to build around them, it's going to be rough. And how they survive those first couple years is so important to their future, and that's why I've developed a new quotient for quarterbacks, which is the thickness quotient. You need to be a thicker quarterback if you're going to be surviving some of these hits that you're going to take. Look at Patrick Mahomes, just thick. And yes, he even got hurt in the Super Bowl, but he's going to bounce back, But guys like that, they have to have the ability to elude injury. And we've seen too many careers ruined by injury because they're not strong enough. Jimmy G's a perfect example. I've always said I'm not a Jimmy G guy. Never thought he was going to save the Niners. Yes, he won those 4 games when he came in, great. But he has always been too slight. He needed to be a little bit bigger, and then he tears his ACL running out of bounds. What is that? I don't even think I could do that if I tried. I'm going on a tangent, but yes. But anyways, you were saying the top. All right, top offensive. I'm gonna give you. Oh, this is tough. This is really tough. I don't want to go with a quarterback because
okay, that's fine. That's why I ask you.
Okay. No quarterback. I'm gonna do. I like Etienne, whatever, however you say it. The Clemson running back. He gets some love, but it was so quiet this year, with all the Trevor Lawrence stuff. I think he's going to be a heck of a back for the team that picks him up. That's what I think.
All right.
Emily, you mentioned a little meat on the bones type of thing.
Yeah, the thickness.
Yes. And Do you think that apply? We all saw like the domination that Devontae Smith did, the wide receiver from Alabama, but I don't know if he's because of what he is. What is he? 6'2", but 170.
6'1", 180.
Yeah.
180. Okay.
Sure. But I got 175.
Okay.
But is he going to be the first overall wide receiver taken, or would it be Jamar Chase?
Ooh, that's really tough. That's a 200-pound wide receiver versus 180. Now, and that's assuming that these are accurate weights. I have sat in on weigh-ins, and I have talked to players about how they. I've literally heard from guys how they try and juke the system. Where they'll stand up straighter, get up on their kind of put things in their shoes to be taller. Wear heavier, whatever they can. Eat a lot that morning. So you never really know exactly.
Well,
but you could
Jade
tell,
cheated at a wrestling weigh-in once. We know.
Sure. Yeah.
I believe that.
I did.
100%.
She did at a wrestling weigh-in once,
you're
and
not cheating. You're not trying hard enough.
Yeah,
right?
and I had my coach lie on the roster of my high school football team about how tall I was and how much I weighed. So,
See?
yeah,
It happens.
I know
and
how it
that's
works.
fine. So we can't necessarily look at height weight as a very reliable metric. So that's why I go by the eye test, and that's what fitness is. Is it's not about how much someone weighs or how tall they are. It's about what they look like. When you see someone in person, you're like, damn, that person is thick. That means they have that kind of sturdy reliability to them. And when I look at Jamar Chase, yes, he does look like that. But the difference between the two, and this is what I'll say, between him and the Alabama wide receiver, I believe that Smith has a harder work ethic. And now I can't say that for sure because I don't know Jamar Chase, and I'm sure that he's worked very hard his whole career. But when you look at Smith, you look at the opportunity that he was given at Alabama, and everybody that talks about him said he's the guy that scores a touchdown, hands the ball back to the referee, walks back to the sideline. He's an incredibly regimented and dedicated individual. So you're talking like a Christian McCaffrey of the industry who just has a work ethic of a cart horse, doesn't do anything else, just does his job. That's all he has on his radar. So I believe that he would be the better pick. I don't know that how much stock teams put into that. Sometimes NFL teams get dazzled by numbers or, what they're hearing from other people and the impression they get from the guys themselves. So that's the one thing I learned from being in the draft room with the scouts is they do 2-hour interviews with these guys to try and get a feel for who they are as a person. And that definitely counts towards their draftability. So how they do in that room, that's important. And I can't really speak to Jamar Chase in that regard.
Okay, so when I messaged you and asked for your time, I wanted to talk a little bit about quarterbacks. Let's start right here. Over, under, number of quarterbacks taken in the first round. If I give you the number 4.5, is it going to be under 4.5 or over 4.5 quarterbacks taken in the first round?
That's a really good question. I would say how do you take half a quarterback?
Well, that's the thing. That way it's not a push. Do you know what I'm saying? Either there's going to be 4 or there's going to be 5.
I've never understood odds in my life. I don't understand betting.
Stick with me.
I don't know how you can have 4.5 with somebody. But
Stick with me. Well, basically the over-under is it going to be over under 4.5? That's why there's not a push. Either it's going to be 4 or there's going to be 5. And I think the 4.5 is a solid number.
It is. I agree.
I guess I would say under. This is not an overly impressive, in my opinion, NFL draft class. The standard's pretty high. 1983 is probably the gold standard of quarterback draft classes. John Elway, Jim Kelly, Dan Marino. And we haven't really had one. 2018 was probably the last one that I thought was very impressive with the Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Josh Allen, Josh Rosen. Then you had Lamar Jackson, who fell so far, and who could have known, right?
Right.
But I don't think that this class, to me, is anywhere near any of those ones that we mentioned. So, and there's so many, like we talked about, other positions that are important, like linemen. This is a very strong class for both offensive, defensive, edge rushers. Those are important things to combat other people's quarterbacks. So I think we're going to see more of those go than quarterbacks. So I would say under. I would say about 4.
I think that's a good call. And I think in looking towards this, free agency doesn't really open up till March 17th, and there'll be trades that happen. It's rumored right now that Carson Wentz will go within the next anywhere between, 7 to 14 days, if not this week, to be traded as well. So those are rumors. Are you in the number 1 overall, Trevor Lawrence?
Yeah, only because, like, by default, yes. I'm trying to find a good reason to, I mean, if it were me and I'm an NFL, GM, and I'm looking at, you're an idiot when you don't take the one that everyone's talking about, right? That's the big criticism. And he definitely has that generational type feel for a quarterback. His arm is my biggest thing, like just an absolute cannon. 80 big-time throws over the past 3 seasons, which is so much more than anybody else. And the best thing about him is his processing. Like, he can just process things at a level I've never even seen, similar to Andrew Luck, in my opinion. When you look at how they're watching the game, it's just different. But do I think anything else is overly impressive? He's not the most accurate passer. He's not the best at avoiding turnovers, that's for sure. So it's like one of those things like, okay, I guess you could go first, but if it were me, and this is going to be such an unpopular take, and I don't care, I like a guy like Kyle Trask. I know he really hurt himself at the end of the season, especially at the game I was at when they played LSU and LSU beat him with basically a freshman-sophomore defense. But you look at the body of his work this year, he threw such a minimal amount of turnovers. He's built, and when you look at him, he looks like the guy. And I like that he has the pocket passer mentality, but he can move if he needs to, So similar to Mac Jones, but Mac Jones has just had so many offensive weapons, it's hard to know what he would do without them, But again, he is also another thick guy. So those two, to me, they trump Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence is a little bit willowy, is the word I use, and that makes me nervous when it comes to not being able to protect him, which a team that drafts him first probably won't be able to do. So that's my feel.
Yeah, and I know you're high on Kyle Trask. I'm just looking at some of the other ones probably taken, T-Roy, and you can fill me in too. Zach Wilson of BYU.
Yeah. Zach and Justin, they're interchangeable. Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, they're about that place where they're similar. Fields is more athletic. He can definitely open up, run, and Wilson, I was in the middle of texting you about who I thought they were like, and Wilson, this is not going to be popular either, but he reminds me of Mahomes in the sense that he's better at throwing on the move, and he's really good at creating plays outside of structure, which is nice to have, in the NFL when things fall apart. When you see Patrick Mahomes make these insane throws as he's falling backwards or getting pressure, that's the kind of, you want that kind of gamer in you. But again, Zach Wilson we didn't see too much from BYU guy, so we don't get to see him play against the elite defenses. And I mean, it's going to be different. It's not BYU when you go to the NFL, okay? It's a very different level, and we don't know that he can handle that. And Justin Fields, we've seen him fall apart. So not that he's a bad player, I just don't think he's a gamer like we talked about last time. So
another guy that is getting a lot of press, but we haven't seen a lot of because of the way the season was. What do you think about Trey Lance out of North Carolina? Trey
Lance, yeah. That's the other one. Everyone wants to ask about him. He's another enigma. Like, you see the numbers and stuff that he had put up that were so impressive. I think he had his completion percentage of 68.7, and that's impressive. And then he had some good numbers. Like, I look at, because that's all I can look at is what he did and put it on the paper. But I haven't, to be honest, I have not seen him play. I've seen like clips of him and different things, and he does look good, but I don't know enough about him. And that's one of those things that we talked about with Penei Sewell, is like, that mystery can add to his draft stock because you could be taking a risk and getting something great. But at the same time, if you don't know what you don't know, then that's a little bit scary and daunting to an NFL team to put in that much money. So I don't know enough about it. I'd love to see it be like a Cinderella story where he comes in and just blows everyone out of the water, but, I don't know.
All right.
So the Trey Lance one is obviously people have been asking all about that. So thanks for talking about that. Let's see. You mentioned a little bit about Mac Jones, and we saw him just because we saw him in semifinals and we saw him in the finals, and he's the leader of Alabama. There's not much more to say about that. If I ask you about an NFL comp, who would Mac Jones be? A comparison quarterback now.
That's I know this is probably not old enough, but he gives me Joe Burrow vibes in the sense that and it's another one of these things that's hard to explain. It's more when you watch him and you see how he moves, his anticipation, his timing, his congeniality, the way that everybody likes him and gravitates towards him. It reminds me so much of watching Joe Burrow play in 2019 at LSU. So for me, that's the guy. And they're built a little similar. I mean, Mac Jones is actually way sicker than I realized. When I saw him at the Senior Bowl, I was like, okay, he's got some weight to him. He's not going to fall over. And he's a traditional, pocket passer. He can move a little bit. But the problem is that we just, like I said, he played for Alabama. So he got the best of the best when it comes to those things. And he did the most with them, His reads are good. Every throw is just straight out of the playbook. It's impressive to watch, but my question is if you put him in a situation where he doesn't have the best coaching or the best receivers or even the best game planning or play calling, what happens? Can he sink or swim in that situation? And that was the same question for Joe Burrow heading into the NFL. So I think it's worth it to take a risk on him, just body-wise, just intelligence-wise, and locker room guy-wise. He's definitely a guy that you want on the team, but the question is, how will he adapt? Adaptability is something you just can't predict. So depending on that, he could end up being a little bit of a sleeper because he's not being talked about as much as the other guys.
And I don't want to spend too much time on it, but everything you're saying about Mac Jones in the locker room and people kind of gravitate towards him. Mm-hmm. And then you have Zach Wilson where people are questioning that he's self-entitled and he comes from wealth and that his parents are a pain in the rear end. And I mean, that's crazy to hear this negative. He's had players come out and be like, that's not true. Mel Kiper went out as far as to say he wasn't captain, and people littered his Twitter with pictures of him wearing the sea coat and everything. So there's that knock on Zach Wilson, which I don't think is fair. But yet then you say all these things about Mac Jones. You know what I'm saying? It's no need to find the negative and try to highlight it so much.
I feel bad when they say that stuff, but there's a reason that you hear some things and you don't hear others. I've been around college football now a long time, 7-8 years, and the things that you hear, yes, you have to take with a grain of salt to a degree, but there's usually a kernel of truth that comes with every rumor, and that's because no one wants to go on the record and say anything bad, but that means that somebody said it to someone somewhere. I don't know Zach Smith. I don't really know anything about, who he is as a person. I've never heard that stuff, but it's enough to take pause as an NFL owner, as an NFL GM, just to be, and you can't fool these guys in the room. Once you get in the room with them, the scouts, they'll suss it out. So I'm not worried about it. No one's been able to, no one's going to sociopath their way into the NFL, but I think he has that ability to prove them wrong, through these draft interviews and all that stuff. So if a team does take a chance on him high, then we'll know that wasn't, the case, and he isn't that guy.
Okay, we're getting close to our time. I appreciate you going for as long as you have with us, Emily. Just by looks at a calendar, if we are going to do a mock. Now, I'm assuming sometime in March is crazy because we have March Madness and everything else. And the draft isn't until the 29th, which is a Thursday, and you'll be prepping up until then. I'm looking at maybe Wednesday, April 7th. We do a Zoom and have you guys in here and do it.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good.
Sounds about right. It gives you time to prep and everything else. But it won't be the last. We'll talk to you before.
Yeah, there should be some trades done by then, so we have a little bit better idea.
If you guys let me know when it is, I might be able to come out if that's something that we could do in person.
Well, absolutely, yeah. So
that means we get to drink some booze.
I've got some time off now that we're done with until the draft. So next month, I'm actually in the process of moving right now in Pebble to a different place. So after this is done, the end of this month, next month I'll be kind of traveling around, going to catch up with people in New York and Florida, and I might be able to make my way out in April to see you guys. So just let me know.
Absolutely. I'll send you some dates, and then you just let me know what works for you, and then we'll work from there.
That sounds good.
All right, Emily, tell everyone where they can follow you at and plug the podcast.
Yeah, make sure you check out the podcast, Sideline Sass, anywhere you listen. And then follow me on Twitter, Emilnem, EMILNEM, not Eminem. You will be disappointed if that's what you think my handle is. So follow along.
Emily, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you answering the text and talking with us, and we'll figure some out. We'll talk to you soon, okay?
All right, thanks, guys. Talk to you soon.
Yep, enjoy yourself. Yep, bye. So tomorrow we got to finish up the National League. And then real quick, didn't get to plug it enough because we were going to talk about it tonight, 7 o'clock Central Time on NBC, Young Rock. Let me tell you something. If you're a fan of nostalgia shows like Wonder Years and the Goldbergs, you're going to like this. The 70s show, you're going to like that.
What about the Golden Girls? Now,
the other thing about it is if you're a wrestling fan, it's going to bring back a lot of nostalgia. There's going to be actors on there that are portraying Andre the Giant, Randy Macho Man Savage, the Wild Samoans, Ricky Steamboat's in there. I know that Iron Sheik is in there. JYD, Junkyard Dog, is in there, so there's going to be a lot of people. From what I understand, and I've listened to podcasts.
What time's it on?
Greater 7 o'clock tonight. It's
right after Wheel.
It's going to be the wrestling fans' dream, and they're going to take them back to their childhood. So watch that tonight on NBC. We'll talk about it tomorrow. Young Rock. Hey, have a hassle-free Tuesday. Stay warm out there, Quad Cities. We will see you tomorrow.
Peace.
All the sports you need right here. The Quad Cities sports leader is ESPN 1170 AM. KBOB, Davenport, a Town Square media station.